Good morning and welcome back to Chassidus Before Coffee. Today we're going to continue this mimer. It's a small segment, but I just want to tell you about this coffee that I have for right after we're done. I'll tell you about it actually afterwards. How about that? Okay? It's a interesting coffee. So we have to understand. We have two questions. Aharon Moshe, Moshe Aharon. We use the term who instead of him. What does that all mean? So in order to understand this, first we have to understand how this concept applies to man's service of God. Practical. It's a practical application. Okay, it's a lofty idea, it's removed, but practically, tell me exactly what's going on. Because we know that all things in the Torah are concepts that are instruction, not just concept, but instruction on how a person, their soul and their body, how they should operate. For every single Jew. Likewise, with the going out of Egypt. And we know that every single day and every single moment and every single generation, a person has to look at themselves as if they went out today from Egypt. What do you mean? Hainu. What does that mean? That means that the idea and concept of going out of Egypt exists within every single day and every single person, every single Yid, every single Jewish person. And that even now we have the concept of Aharon and Moshe taking us out of Egypt, and they're the ones speaking to Pari. We have this idea that we mentioned, that the Torah mentions, we have that practically in our lives as well. So where do we see that? How does it work? There are the two types of service of God called Moshe and Aharon. What does it mean, Moshe and Aharon? There are two different types of service of God. This is the idea and understanding of why it says Aharon before Moshe when it comes to going out of Egypt, and why it says Moshe before Aharon when it comes to speaking to Paro. So from understanding ourselves, from understanding how it applies, we'll understand the greater picture and the general picture in the Torah, from bringing it down practically to the day-to-day level in our own lives. So what do these names, what does Aharon represent? What does Moshe represent? And how does it apply? Here we go. What's the difference between Moshe's service and Aaron's service of God? What is it? Moshe is the concept of Torah. As it says, Zichru Torah's Moshe Avdi Shnikal Shemai. Torah is called the Torah of Moshe, Moshe's Torah. So we see that Torah is the idea of Moshe. Because what is the idea of Torah? It's coming from above to below. That's the concept. It's higher to lower. However, Aaron's the opposite. Aaron is elevation from below to above. So we see this when it comes to the lighting of the candles of the menorah. It says that the menorah represents 7 different types of Jews, and going up in different is going from candle to candle, lighting each one, different types of service that the Jews have, different Jewish people have, as it explains elsewhere in another mimer. But Aharon Shenikra Shoshvidim Dematiriusa. Aharon is called, I think, the attendant to the queen. He elevates them from below to above, one to another. He's the one who elevates them. So what is the correlation in our practical day-to-day life? That's the idea of tefillah, of prayer. Prayer is the idea of which is the idea of going from below to above, like a ladder going rung by rung up all the way to heaven. So this is the idea of Aharon, and Moshe. Moshe is Torah, Aharon is tefillah, prayer, and through this understanding, from going from above to below and below to above, and how it applies to our practical life, we'll then be able to understand this week's Torah portion and the pasuk, and why are and God willing answer these two questions of why first Aharon Moshe, then Moshe and Aharon in the verses. Thank you so much for watching. But before we're done, let's make a bracha. Baruch atah. Start it again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaray. Interesting taste. Okay, so what's this coffee? It's from Sierra Nevada. It's from the mountains of Colombia, and basically they put it through a process to ferment it. They fermented the coffee in its honey. The honey is the layer around it before the final layer. Essentially, there's a few layers, but the honey is like a parchment basically, and they ferment it in water for like 48 or something hours like that. And it has a very interesting smell, as well as I'm now tasting for the first time. Taste as well. You could taste it. It's a little bit more similar to, I would say, a fruitier um, um, Ethiopian. It's a little bit more similar to that. I'll take another sip, let you know. Yeah, so that initial flavor is definitely much more similar to Ethiopian. But then I think I'm getting the mouthfeel of more of a Colombian, which is interesting. So they really did a little bit of some tweaking and created a kind of unique coffee here. So kudos to them. L'chaim. Have a fantastic day, and when we merit to see Mashiach Tzidkeinu right now. Have a great day.